Ifeolu, thank you so much. Thank
Oh,
you.
hello, hello. Can you see me?
I can see you now, yes.
Excellent. I was going to say, yeah, orange looks good on you as well, like this.
See, you know why I said today is going to be special? This man is something else. Seriously, he
What
is
you mean?
something else.
Quiet.
You're what?
Very quiet.
No, you're not. You're not. Please, how can you tell that I'm wearing orange? And well, because I said it. You can't see
Ah,
me.
how do you know?
Okay. What shade of orange is it?
Oh, I'm not telling you because you already know. Why should I tell you what you know?
No, please tell me. Because I might not know. I might not know the shade.
No, no. I don't want to tell you. You already know. You know. It's like telling me, a hungry person, to come and eat. You understand what I mean? It's too obvious. You know.
Oh my goodness. Nick, that's why I've said this session is going to be. I just wait. You guys are going to spend half of the time laughing because this man is amazing. He's just truly amazing. But anyway, welcome everyone to Hangout Cafe. It's a pleasure to have you here today. And as I said, today is going to be extra special because we have Dr. Ifeolu with us today. You know, if I was going to describe him, I would say he's an extraordinary person, but I know he wouldn't want me to use that word. He might probably even cringe that I'm using the word extraordinary for
I'm
him.
cringing already. I already when you called me doctor because I quickly went to look in my birth certificate and I didn't see that doctor there.
You
But
didn't see the doctor?
I,
Okay,
honestly,
so I should just call you Ifeolu.
it's just so much easier, don't you think?
Okay, but I like the doctor. I just like doctor. And you know I'm a Nigerian. And you know Nigerians, we like
No,
doctor, engineer, and all the stuff.
I agree. So when I became a doctor, someone told me, said your bank manager would love it. And I didn't realize it until I went to the bank and I said, oh, can you just change? And everybody, oh, congratulations, congratulations. I was like, oh. That was, I think, the first time I realized I'd just done something serious.
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, and it's something serious because not everybody has achieved that, you know, a doctorate. So
No,
it's
that's
something.
because they're very busy winning gold medals in the Olympics and doing lots and lots of other things.
No, no, they're like me. They're just citizens like me. So anyway, Dr. Ifeolu, thank you. Okay, Ifeolu, say don't. I should call you
Get
doctor.
used to it. Get used to it.
Okay. Thank you again for agreeing to come on board today. I am truly grateful. And there's a tradition here. We give virtual hugs. So everyone in house is giving you virtual. I'm giving you a virtual hug.
Oh,
Um,
receiving it and giving my own back.
okay, give us.
Absolutely. But it's true. A hug is a really wonderful way to say, it's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's one of the things that we didn't learn very much when we were growing up, was it?
You're right. You're right. And I think we actually need to give more hugs because sometimes you don't need to say anything. You
Yep,
just need to give a hug. And that says a lot.
it does.
So, yeah. So
Thank
we're giving
you.
you.
Virtual hug. Please, can everyone watching, please just enjoy my virtual hug back.
They're sending the hugs right back to you. Loads of hugs right back to you.
I will spend hugging. That's okay.
Oh my goodness. So, Dr. Ifeolu, this man is witty. He has such a sense of humor. I was going to say wicked sense of humor, then I thought, no, not a wicked. He has a sense of humor. He has a gracious spirit. And when I met him about 3 weeks or less than 3 weeks ago, but I feel like I've known him forever. And I was telling him today that the first time I actually spoke to him, I was a bit nervous, but he put me at ease. I didn't, by the time I mean, we spoke for almost 1 hour, and I just thought, my goodness, this man is amazing. But let me tell you a little bit about him, other things about him, for people who don't know a lot about him. But saying that, Ifeolu, do you know that you're actually very famous? Seriously.
Mm.
There are people who have been saying, oh, I know him, we went to school together, or people have seen some of your videos. So you're popular, you're
No,
very
you
popular.
are the famous one. You are the superstar. Honestly, you are such a superstar that I had your number and you didn't have mine. No,
Oh,
no, no. Who is the superstar here?
we have to tell them this mystery.
We
So
have to tell them.
after our first conversation, we found out that he actually had my number, my other number. So it was like, how did he? But I didn't have his number, but he had my number. So we're trying to figure out how that happened, and the mystery was only sorted out, I think, about a couple of days or so ago.
Prayer and fasting, you know.
After prayers, he actually said he was going to pray and fast to find out how come he had my number. And we found out that in 2014, one of the association that he's part of, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, they had wanted me to speak at a conference. And I think he was the publicity secretary or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, well,
Something like that,
yeah, I
right?
was National Publicity Secretary.
Publicity secretary, fantastic. And so they'd given him my number, but I ended up not going for the event, attending. So that's how we solved the mystery of how he had my number. Can you imagine? I would have known you since 2014.
Exactly. But you were quadruple booked, and I wasn't so important being the superstar that you are, you know. Like,
No,
no.
it wasn't that. Oh, it wasn't that. It clashed with I think the date clashed with something we're doing in church. That's why I couldn't attend. But I promise you, if you guys invite me next time, I will come. So this is me telling you, please invite me again.
I
Okay, so let me tell you guys a little bit about Dr. Ife. He was born some 50 something years ago in a country called Nigeria. Born to amazing parents. He's I think second born. Yeah, he has an
yeah,
older
yeah.
sister. He attended one of the best schools. Well, it used to be, I don't know about now. It used to be one of the best schools in Nigeria, King's College.
Oh,
Uh,
primary school.
Primary school.
I was told it was the best school in the world. Forget Nigeria.
Oh, okay, then, but not now.
My primary school was is the best in the world still. No,
Okay. Okay. Then he studied law at Unilag, and then came to Lancaster University to do a master's in international relations and strategic studies. And then he did a doctorate in politics. That's why he's Dr. Ifeolu. He has other qualifications, which include disability awareness trainer's certificate. So that means you can train people. Oh, wow.
I do train people.
You do train people. Interesting.
Sadly for
Oh, wow. And also computer literacy. Yep.
yeah, those kinds of things. Yeah,
Wow.
they had
Okay.
to teach me how to use a computer. You see.
Okay. But you said, I think I saw somewhere that you used, no, that was the typewriter when you were learning. That was when you
Oh
were
yeah,
trying.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You said by age 10, you had learned to use the typewriter.
Well, I could have. I mean, if you wanted a secretary or a typist at that time, you could have employed me because I actually have a typing certificate.
Wow.
10 years old. Yeah, we had to do it. You know.
Wow. Okay, you're going to tell us about that in a bit. So anyway, he worked in NNPC for a bit, and then now he set up his own company called IOA. What does IOA mean? IOA Consulting.
Ah, you see, the thing is, I live in England, so I couldn't tell them that my company's name is Ifeolu Akintunde Consults. I mean, that would have twisted it. Take it easy.
Oh, so IOA, that those are your initials. Oh, I see it. When I thought it was something more, okay.
Would you have preferred it? He set up Ifeolu Akintunde Consults.
That would work in Nigeria, but I guess like it wouldn't work here. Oh, Oh my goodness. So a company that they work with international students, disabled persons, small charities, and so on. And oh my goodness, he does so many things. He's a member of Sunbeam's Music Trust, which does music therapy in the Lake District for elderly and disabled people. He's vice chair of Star Children Development. He's a secretary of his church, King's Community Church Lancaster. He's a director of the Overseas Fellowship of Nigeria, and so on and so on. He does public speaking. He's a gospel music DJ. Yeah, he's a DJ.
Every time. Yeah.
And he plays the
Oh, but
piano.
Ice on the mic. Oh, that's actually better. They used to call me Ice on the mic when I was a gospel DJ.
Really?
Call me Ice
Wow.
on
So they call you Ice on the mic.
Ice, as in the Ice on the mic.
Oh, Ice on the mic. Ice on the mic. Okay.
Yeah. This is Ice on the mic, giving you good news and great music to Lancaster, Morecambe, and the World Wide Web.
Whoa. Okay, folks. So if you're looking for a gospel DJ, you've got Ife on the mic here. So please, can I be your agent?
I don't think I've done it in a while now. I think technology has kind of passed me by with all this computer stuff now. It was about 10, 15 years ago when I used to do that. But I still do it for a small station called Salt FM in London every now and again, which, did I call them a small station? They actually won awards last year. So I
Oh,
shouldn't call.
that's the Diversity FM.
No, that's Salt FM. It's another
Salt.
station on that.
I'm sure if the internet.
Yeah, saltfm.com,
Someone
saltfm.co.uk.
just said okay. Someone just said that your voice is amazing. You know that? Can you do it again? Just again for us. That's
Can you just tell that person I'm nervous now? No, yes. No, I used to say that. True. When I was on Diversity FM, I used to say, "This is Ife on the mic giving you," because Diversity is based in Lancaster, and
okay.
so I used to say, "This is Ife on the mic giving you good news and great music to Lancaster, Morecambe, and the World Wide Web." And Diversity FM was just a community station, so I went to them and said, when they were looking for someone to work, I said, "Well, would you like gospel music?" And they were like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, fine, I'll do it." So, playing you good news and great music. They said, though, that I must not officially evangelize. So I used to interview people. And then I never said, "You need to be a Christian." But I said, "Oh, how did you become a Christian, by the way?" And then they tell me the story. And I never, you know how it is.
Wow. Okay. And you play the piano and you said you pretend to sing.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. When you hear all these great singers, you can't stand beside them and go, "I sing," can you? Yeah. They just look at you and go, "Do you?"
Do you? Okay. So that is a little bit about Ifeolu. And today, at the end of the session today, so don't leave early. He's going to play the piano for us. And I'm looking forward to that. But God, I have to get used to not calling you doctor.
Ice on the mic. Okay, go on then.
I on the mic. I on the mic. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Today we're going to be talking about, am I disabled? That's a good question. Am I
Yeah.
disabled?
It's a very good question for me. And it's really part of my faith journey, that question. So I went to the very best school in the world, but it was a school for blind people, which is why I was able to see your lovely orange dress. So when I went to that school, it's called Pacheli School. For anyone who lives in Lagos, it's in Surulere, or who knows the Surulere area. It's just not far from Lawanson bus stop. So when I got there, I had a little bit of sight. Incidentally, I used to play football with my friends back home. But gradually the sight started to go, and I think by the time I got to the university in Lancaster, not in Nigeria, it had pretty much gone by then. I realized it when I nearly fell into Stockwell Station underground once.
Oh dear. Oh
Well,
wow.
there are more stories than that, I promise you. Let's keep the more gory details out of the conversation. But yeah, I wasn't using a guide cane then, and I was waiting for someone. We'd agreed to meet at Stockwell at the underground. I was coming in from Houston, and he was coming from further down south, and we're to meet at Stockwell. So I was waiting for him on the platform, and I suddenly realized that if I took one step further, I would be. That's a long story. So, but moving on. So when I left the best primary school in the world, I went to KC, and so in KC, I met people who told me that I wasn't a Christian. And they were very clear about this. They were very, very clear that I wasn't a Christian. And I asked them why. I go to a great church in Ibadan, All Souls Church, for all those who live in Ibadan. I went to a Catholic school. I even went to mass every morning at 6 o'clock, from Monday to Saturday, and at 6:30 on Sunday. Oh, how dare they tell me I wasn't a Christian? How could they come up with such a crazy idea that all of that wasn't sufficient to be a Christian?
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine these people? They just keep coming up with strange ideas like that. Anyway, so what they then said was that they were going to pray for me. Now, I'd been to many healing services from when I was a child, really, because obviously any parent who has a blind child isn't very oh, believe me, I had the most loving parents in the world. And I suppose because they were the most loving parents in the world, they also took me to a lot of services to pray for me and all that. It was for me a part of the expression of that love. And I embraced it enough in KC to go for those to listen to a lot of people who were going to pray for me. But unfortunately for them, not for me. And seriously, I didn't get healed. And by the time I got to university, I really thought I was very clever at this point. And I used to argue with Christians, and I actually beat them in those arguments. Of course, who would beat me in an argument, But but I, strangely enough, and I tell these people these things, I found that there were 2 or 3 things that confused me. The first thing was that they still prayed for me, but they told me about this lovely lady called Joni Erickson Tada, who had a diving accident as a child and became quadriplegic. And they told me what an amazing woman this woman was.
Right.
And then they would pray for me to receive my sight. And I used to, how can I explain it? I had a bit of an identity crisis, I think that's the best way I call it. Like, should I be healed? Should I not be healed? And then as part of the prayer, and we're very passionate, we Nigerians, they would remind me that if only I had the faith of a mustard seed. Look, and of course we all know in Hebrews chapter 11 that without faith it's impossible to please God. So I'm in all this place going, hold on, so do I not have faith? So I'm not even pleasing God anyway, because I don't have faith. Because if I had the faith of a mustard seed, I'd be seeing. It's like quite logical, isn't it? So one of the things that I really find interesting about that time is that I started to argue with these Christians, but if I needed anyone to read for me, they would be the ones who read. They would be the ones I would call. So I tended to argue with them in the day and call them at night to read to me. Just guys, you see, this is identity crisis all over again. Did I like them? Did I not? Well, and later on, I heard that they were actually praying for me, but that was after I had become
a Christian. Okay.
One of them said to me, all that time we were praying for you. I wish they told me then. I would have fought them even harder. Why you mean you're praying for me? But anyway, so that was one thing. One day, I recall, I was at the law school, and I loved the BBC World Service, hence my master's and doctorate in politics. So I used to listen to the BBC World Service on those crackly shortwave radios, and they screeched more than they talked. So I got up because I actually lived next to the law school, so I was always late. Because when you live next to somewhere, you're always late, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I remember at 7, I'd listen to the news, and I had to be there at 9 o'clock. So I'd listen to the news. And one night, I, in one of the identity crisis moments, I said, because Braille is massive, right? And
Mhm.
I didn't have much of the Braille Bible with me. I
Okay.
had maybe the Gospel of Matthew or something, which I'd used for CRK, which I passed very well, by the way. So obviously knew the Bible enough to pass it. And then I had a few other books. And I remember thinking that night, I was thinking, well, maybe the reason I don't understand is that I don't have the full Bible, because they kept quoting Corinthians, which wasn't in your CRK.
Oh,
Which wasn't in your CRK what's it called, syllabus, was it? You only had one book of the Bible and Acts or something, and then one or two books of the Old Testament, and those were the only ones I had in Braille. So
okay.
I remember going to bed. It was just a thought. I didn't even pray. I was like, maybe if I could read the Bible more, I would understand these things that these people are talking about.
You
So
have more faith.
maybe, and I would actually be able to please God. That is like so I woke up the next morning, and I was hunting for the BBC World Service at that time, as you do on the shortwave radio. Only people of a certain age will understand. We have digital radios now where you just
Yeah.
and I remember on my way to the BBC World Service, I found a station called Family Radio,
Okay.
and Family Radio were doing their Bible reading,
Right.
and I didn't go like you go, oh, thank God. My first thought was, but I didn't even pray. Do you understand what I mean? I was like,
Mm.
but I didn't even pray. Like, how come I'm hearing the Bible when, you know, when I'd only just thought about it the night?
Yeah.
That kind of last minute thought as you are like
Yeah.
dropping off to bed, like, oh, I wish I could read the Bible more.
Yeah.
And the next morning, the Bible's coming to me on the radio, like,
Mm. Mm.
wow, what's that? Um, so when I was leaving for England for my master's, so um, there's a lot of stories about these things. That Unilag was kind of, they coped with me, but I think, the first blind person that was doing law with them. So it's a lot easier for law students now. But I also found that I was the first person to do my master's in Lancaster in my department.
That's
But
amazing.
when I was leaving, I was the first in many things. But it's not, you see, you all say that's amazing, but the truth about it is it's a pretty hard place to be, because there's no
Mm.
lawyers call it precedent. There's no,
The press. Yes.
do
Yeah.
you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody can tell you how it's going to work.
Yeah. Because it's never been done before. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember they threw a party for me when I was leaving Nigeria home. They probably knew I wasn't coming back. They were like, yeah, farewell to this our son. And one of my aunties, who, oh, she only died recently, actually, sadly. She gave me the Bible on cassette. The New
Wow. A lot of
on
people here will know what that is. Cassette.
well, it's a small rectangular little thing with two round holes and the tape. Yeah. But the other thing was, I also won, and I won a prize in the law school. Um, and the prize I'd won, because they knew they couldn't give me a book because I couldn't read it, was a cassette player. So I
Oh,
had this cassette player,
okay.
and I had the New Testament on cassette.
Yeah.
And I was leaving for England at this point, because obviously at those days you could only carry 20 kilograms. So I was like, forget it, man. I'm not even taking my Bibles. So, but when you have a little box with 12 cassettes,
Yeah.
that becomes a lot easier to carry. So I came to Lancaster with clothes, a cassette player, and um, and uh, the box of New Testament. But in my first week, see, when you can see, you can go around. When you can't see, you can't go around. So I
Mm.
would sit in my room during what we call Freshers Week until
Yeah.
somebody took me out, right? But if no one took me out, well, what would I be doing? maybe let me just try and listen to this Bible that my auntie gave me, self, see what it's about. These people that are always telling me to read Bible. Well, let me try. And then I started to read about grace. And I started to read about God's love. And I started to really understand in a completely different way from the arguments that I used to have
Right.
about how much more God loved me than I thought. Like how much more the whole notion. I mean, we all sing Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, but the whole notion of grace, by grace you are saved. Oh, so not by argument, right?
No.
Ooh,
No.
how sad. And I thought
You thought you would have.
I did those arguments, I'm sure. I learned since then that there are two ways to win an argument, really. One is to have good logic,
And the other?
and the other is to have, how can I explain it? Logic is not the only thing that wins the argument. Sometimes you need something more like, I suppose, belief, passion, and something. Those kinds of things are better ways to win an argument than 1 + 1 = 2, and therefore you must have faith or you don't have faith. And they were arguing with me based on what the Spirit was revealing to them, whereas I was, where it says God's ways are higher than our ways.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
I was using earthly arguments. Anyway, I soon started to learn a lot more. And one of the passages, and this is the Am I Disabled thing. So one day I read John chapter 9. And we're Nigerians, so the first thing that struck me when they said, was it the sin of the father or the sin of the mother that caused this guy to be blind? This was the question they were asking Jesus. And we have heard a lot of that. I've definitely heard it. To tell the truth, people who are, we hear it all the time anyway, as part of the Nigerian psyche. Oh, yeah, something happened in your family, generational, and all that kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jesus answered, he said, no, is that the works of God are made manifest in his life.
Yes. Yes.
Light bulb moment. I was like, what? And it started to occur to me that we need to look at how we measure disability. And we measure disability by how God's works are made manifest in our lives. So, and whenever I say this to people, I say, it doesn't mean that you won't pray for me right now. And if you prayed for me right now, I'd be healed. Okay, that's not the point. The point is where I am now, because Jesus actually prayed for that guy and healed him, right? Okay. And then if you read a lot more in the Bible, there's some very interesting things, Like, for example, Samson got blind, poor guy. And he killed more Philistines as a blind person.
Then went to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jacob, he decided that, okay, this one, I'm even going to wrestle with God, self. What? I want to fight. His hip got broken. And I always imagine that, and you see that in Hebrews 11 anyway, that every time that broken hip reminded him as he leaned on his staff of his relationship with God. And I started to look at our lives more in terms of our relationship with God. And whatever happened to us as part of that relationship. I mean, if you look at that guy in Acts chapter 2, we always talk about how Peter healed him. And I always ask people the question, all the time that Jesus walked around the temple, did he not see that guy?
Good question. Yeah.
He did.
He did. He did.
But he told Peter, he said, in my name, you pray for the sick and they will be well. And this was the way Peter found out that, wow, it's true. I can pray. So in one sense, it wasn't even about the guy who was paralyzed. It was about Peter's relationship with God on that occasion.
Wow.
Or in the book of John, that guy who was by the pool, and he would say, oh, you know, and there were loads of people there, and Jesus said, well, why haven't you been healed? And he says, well, every time there's nobody to push me. And Jesus healed him. And then I asked myself, so what about all the others who were in that pool?
We're not told what happened to them.
We're not told what happened to them. But believe me, if Jesus had healed everyone in that pool, we'd have been told.
Yeah, true.
We would have been told. When Paul would say, oh, my infirmities you all know about. What were his infirmities? We don't know.
No.
So we all sit down there, and in our lives are defined by our relationship with God, not by whether we can or cannot see. And every time I've heard, and I have watched some of the baristas on Hangout cafes, what I have seen is that they have faced adversity and they have faced it with God. That's the thing that's most important. In what they faced, did they glorify God? Yes or no? If yes, hallelujah. May his name be glorified. That's what it's all about. It was it was like that eye-opening moment for me. I was like, wow.
So from that moment, up to that moment, people were always praying for you. Deep down, were you also hoping that maybe one person will pray and I'll be healed up to that moment?
Of course.
And then subsequently after, you were like, okay, now I know that go on, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so if someone, I would never stop someone praying for me. I would never stop believing. That's not the point. The point is that I leave it. I know that God is in control of my life. That's the thing for me. The more important thing is the focus on God, not the focus
on the healing.
Blindness. I think that's where I am now. So there was a day, I like telling stories. Oh, this is I'm gonna go on for 3 hours. So I went.
Your battery, remember your battery.
They're all scared now. They're all like, oh no, please, please stop him. So there was a day. So I went with my church. I went to a secondary school here in Lancaster, and so I was talking to people, and I was talking to them about being a Christian. And these are things you have to do with great care. Because it's not like in Nigeria where when you hop on a bus in Lagos, somebody can come and preach to you and everybody will listen. But anyway, so so I was talking to these 12-year-olds, and I was telling them how I became a Christian and what Christianity means to me. I said, oh, would you like to ask any questions? So one of them said, yeah, I would. 12-year-old. Let's try and do a 12-year-old voice. Yes, I would. How come you're still a Christian even though you're blind? Oh, I forgot to do the Lancashire accent. That's a bit harder. All right. So how come you're still a Christian when you're blind? So I gave them the answer. I said, God is in control. I just said everything that the right
answer.
Sadly, at that time, I'd just done my PhD. For a year or two, I'd been looking for work. So, and I knew that part of the reason, because the statistics are pretty bad here. They say they don't even have them in Nigeria, but they say that I think it's 60% of people with disabilities are unemployed in the UK. Wow. So I knew those statistics. I knew how it would impact on my ability to work.
Right.
And this person is asking me, why am I still a Christian? I gave the answer. And I went back to my room and I said, okay, Lord, I have given the standard answer to that 12-year-old boy. Let's me and you talk, Lord. Like
let's have a conversation, Lord.
Let's have a hangout cafe here, Lord.
I love that. Let's hang out with God today.
Let's hang out. Seriously. And God really started to speak to me. I want to tell you, that I was so blessed by that conversation
Wow.
because he told me the things I would never know, but for the fact that I'm a blind person, the things I never do, the things I'd never be.
Wow.
He told me how my perspective changed
Wow.
just by that fact. It was a blessing of a conversation. That would, I mean, I don't want to narrate my several hours conversation with God here because, as I have been reminded,
No, but please tell us a little bit about some of the things, just a little bit, because we sometimes people look at blind people and they're like, oh, but God telling you that there's so much that you as a blind person can do that we can never do. You got where you? Okay, sorry.
my apologies. One of my problems is that I get 1 million calls. You will forgive. Which was why I asked, could this be done on computer earlier on? Do you remember? I knew
Yes.
the problem. Um, so think about um, empathy and vulnerability, for example. Just those two words.
Yeah.
So people have cheated me. They actually have.
How?
One day, about 12, 13 years ago, I had students. I work with students, and one came into my house, and they used to practically live here, stole my shoes.
Wow.
It's there are many, many instances. It's a long, they're long stories.
Okay.
But do you know that I still live a confident life because I've learned to trust God for my living,
Wow. Wow.
not men.
Mm. Mm.
It's been a very interesting life. Just knowing that a person can cheat you, but God can never do.
Oh my goodness. That is so true.
And there's so many, many things. Um, and again, also knowing how blind people feel
Mm.
when things are going wrong, how to empathize with them.
Please share with us. Share with us.
Friends of mine love coming to my house, my blind friends,
Okay.
because of how my family treat them.
Okay.
But my family wouldn't treat them like that if I was blind. It's actually quite a fact, because they wouldn't know how to do it. So there
Mm.
was a day when my dad turned 80. So I went and sat down with my friends on the table, and we're having a good time with my blind friends. And I just, like my dad, an 80-year-old, gets up from his walk to the table, and very, every other person went to him. He came to my friends.
Sorry, we missed that. The thing cut off a bit, so I didn't hear you.
Oh,
You
somebody was sending me a mail.
oh,
Every other person went to him to greet him.
okay.
At some point, he got up, walked up to my table with all my friends, and he greeted them one by one.
Wow.
They actually consider him their dad as well, because when my, when my mom died, they used to visit him every year for Christmas. They still do. But that kind of relationship
Yeah.
only exists because he knew that they wouldn't come to him. They
Mm.
couldn't through the tables and the chairs. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes. 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 Yeah.
Those
Wow.
kinds of things happen all the time. And
Hmm.
they only happen because I understand what it's like to be a blind person.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This
And
is
there are many more.
okay. There's I came across um something you wrote in one of your articles,
Ah,
and you said that you made a choice. You said I think it was after you got an award or something.
Oh, yes, 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 yes,
Can you
yes.
remember? Tell us about the award anyway, and your take
Well,
on getting that
I'll tell
award.
you about it first.
Yeah,
I choose to live.
yeah,
And this is what happened. I told you about the many years when I was looking for work.
yes.
And the many times when I'd wake up, I didn't tell you, the many times I'd wake up in the morning and hold on. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about that. My phone talks to me, and I think that it was somebody was talking to me at that time. So I had to make a decision to live because I realized that if I let the issues that surrounded me dominate my life, I would gradually lose the essence of Ife. I've come up with a term that I have to be the most Ifeistic person possible.
I love that.
I really need to be, nothing else will do. And nobody can be as Ifeistic as me.
As
You can
you.
be, I'm telling you, you can add the istic to your name. Nobody can do that one like you. But as for that Ifeisticness, that's my quality.
There's
No
only
one,
one effect.
there's only one. So
Oh my goodness.
this was what took me through the toughest times. The realization that if I didn't live, I would gradually begin to die.
Wow.
We don't stay stagnant. Everybody says, oh, you stagnate. No one stagnates. If you sit down where you are right now, the earth is moving. So I'm not even in the same place I was 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a moving earth.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No one stagnant. And the other thing is, if you stand still, everyone goes past.
True.
It's
But how did you get to that place? Because even for those of us that can see, those of us that we can say we're able, and sometimes challenges come and we don't even want to leave. So how did you get to that place? If it,
well, only God. Too much time sitting down by myself and thinking. I think only God. I think it's they can't. I cannot give you an explanation in real terms, except that for many years. Okay. One of the things I didn't tell you was that my dad had an international. He was the vice president of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations.
okay.
When he turned 70, it was 2 years after I had finished my PhD.
Okay.
And I was like jobless and everything at that time. And everyone said, go. So the meeting was in Tunisia. It was going to be his last. He was going to retire at that time. And new elections and all that kind of stuff. So everyone was like, go with him, go with him. I'm like, why should I go? But I had nothing to do, so I went. So I went to Tunis. It was lovely. But my dad did this thing that he always does. Oh, my son has got a PhD. And all the time he does that, I keep saying to him, shh. Oh, no, I don't. I keep thinking, shh, stop it. Exactly. But you could never tell your dad that, could you? So I never said. The point being, when he left, he went back to Nigeria, I go back to the UK.
Yeah.
Realized how much he was proud of me. I realized that I wasn't proud of myself, but somebody else was proud of me. How can you do that? If somebody is rooting for you and you're not even rooting for yourself.
Wow. Wow.
So I have a lot to thank the people around me for. And when people tell me how much I've achieved, they don't know how much I've depended on others when I've been down.
Wow.
How much, and because we are very good at motivating each other by saying, you should know that you are strong, you should know that you're there. That seems to be the main way we motivate ourselves, but I don't think so. I think that And I wrote about this, and I called it the ordinary is essential. I think,
Yes, that was the first your article that I said. That was the first
yeah,
one. So, yeah.
I think part of the ordinary things people do is bless one another because we're social animals.
Mm.
So what we don't know is that a friend of mine once said to me, and I used to do a lot of stuff free of charge. I used to read people's work. I used to give them advice. I used to draft stuff for them. And he said, well, why don't you charge for all these things? How can you be telling me you don't have a job when you're so busy every day? Oh, oh, that's true. But this guy just made a statement as part of his own ordinary life.
Yeah, yeah.
So the truth is, I didn't become the CEO of IOA Consults by being so highly motivated. I became that because a friend said to me, "You've been doing too much work free of charge.
Mm.
Start charge."
Wow, wow. So what we consider to be extraordinary are just things that you just do.
Yeah. And so I love football.
Yeah,
And so a long time ago, there was a chap called David Beckham. A long time ago.
yeah,
And David Beckham, whenever he took a free kick, he was very likely to score.
yeah.
It was just a shot, just an ordinary shot. And then someone said after practice, he used to stay back and practice free kicks. You see, he's a very rich man, but he recognized that his achievements were from doing those ordinary things like
Mm.
kicks. That was all he recognized. Going back and doing it, going back and practicing, doing the very ordinary thing
Yeah,
of taking a shot at goal.
yeah, yeah.
When he comes out onto the field, 100,000 people watch and they cheer, but they didn't know, did they?
Mm. No. Ooh. Hmm. Dr. Ife, tell us more.
Thank
Wow, you made a choice to leave. I
you.
love
Yes.
that. I love that. And I think a lot of us need to do that. Not survive, as we say, but live.
No, we have
Live,
to live. We
live
have to.
that abundant life. That is so.
God wants. You stole the words from my mouth, but I know you stole it from the Bible, so I won't blame. He said, "I came that you might have life
Mm, mm,
in all its abundance."
wow.
Why should I go second best?
Why settle for
Came
second?
that I might have life in all its abundance.
Why do we? I don't think it's intentional, but I guess sometimes life just happens. And sometimes it's just difficult to get up and motivate yourself. And you just think, I don't know.
Do you know how many times I felt like that? Do you know how many times I still feel like that? I'm not saying that I'm the perfect, but I'm saying that in whatever I am, wherever I am,
Yeah.
that's what I aim to be. And that a lot of times I get up to and I think, what's the point? But thank God that, the Bible actually talks about in every situation, He will make a way. There is always a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is always a way.
I guess it's understanding that there is always a way. You said I think
So
you said that long
you
time.
better tell me on those mornings when I don't want to wake up and get out of bed too, as by the way. Just by the way.
So how do you, I was going to use the word motivate, but how do you motivate yourself to get out of bed when you don't feel like? Is it remembering the word of God?
Remembering
Remembering.
the word of God. Yes. And remembering that sometimes you need a rest too.
Okay. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
the first thing. So Elijah had this problem. and he was pretty ready to die at this point.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know that the first thing that they said to him was rest,
Yeah, yeah.
not get up and go.
Mm. Sometimes you need to just rest
Sometimes you need to rest.
and
If the
eat.
and eat, that eating thing actually happened to me one day. So I was running late for some worship thing that I was supposed to be doing, and we had to eat lunch. And I decided to leave my lunch so I can jump back. One guy who I really respect, he said, and he called me Brother Ife. He said, Brother Ife, sit down and eat because the journey ahead of you is a long one. And those I was like, if this man can tell me that, I will eat. Trust me, I didn't need the excuse to tell the truth. I was
Oh my goodness. Wow. So many nuggets. I think when I think about your life, at least the little bit that I know, it's just a testament that we limit ourselves. We do limit ourselves more than we should, more than necessary.
but
And
everyone does though, don't you think?
yeah, we do. But
Talking about me, I'm talking about everyone. You see, what God has deposited in us is sometimes, I think about it, even the Israelites,
yeah,
all the land that God gave them, they didn't take.
mm, mm. That's true. That's true. That's true.
There's an abundance for each person.
So why are we not appropriating the abundance? Why are we not?
Because God's ways are higher than our ways.
But He wants us to come higher.
Of course, of course He does. But we're still human.
Is that an excuse?
Oh no, it's a fact. I want to get there too.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say that I was there.
Mm, mm.
I wish I could say with all honesty that I'm there. But even Paul said it. He said, I can't say I'm there yet,
Mm.
but I keep pressing on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Paul can say that it's good enough for me. Like the guy who said I should eat because the journey that was good enough for me.
Yeah. I guess also sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because of the things we perceive that other people are doing. So that might be another reason.
We do. We
Yeah.
do. We do because we watch people around us. And sadly, having been to a very good school, I know where my classmates are.
Mm.
We talk on WhatsApp every day. So if ever anybody should feel under pressure, believe me.
So let me ask you a question. So how do you feel really when you think about it? Have you ever in your 50 something years thought, if I was not blind, then I would be
Oh,
this?
anytime.
Wow.
Which was why it was important for God to remind me of who I am as a blind person.
Mm, mm, mm.
Many, many times I go to God and go, oh, see, actually, look at this issue. If I was not blind, I wouldn't have faced it, Lord. So let's talk about it. How can we resolve it? But I can only trust God. Imagine what would happen, and imagine what would happen if I couldn't trust God. Wow, that would just be so disastrous.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, your faith has definitely helped.
Oh, no
Definitely.
question.
Because even
Oh,
if you're making the choice to leave, that's because of your faith.
it
Because
is.
there's a
Yeah,
higher power that you can
yeah.
lean on and lean against.
I make the choice to live trusting God. So maybe when I said I made a choice to live, that was an incomplete statement
Okay.
in many senses. Living isn't living alone. Living is living trusting God.
Ooh, I love that. Living isn't living alone. Living is trusting in God.
Yep.
I love that. Okay, wow. There's something else I came across in one of your articles. Oh, I did a bit of research on you, you know. I did. I did a lot of
Don't worry, there's not very much
reading.
behind it.
You said the test of disability is not in whether you are blind. Can you complete that statement? The test of disability is not whether you're blind. The test of disability is
This is whether you glorify God. Something like that. I can't remember. What? You mean I got it?
I don't know, I can't remember.
My memory is still as good as it always was. Those calendars and address books cannot kill that memory.
Yes, you got it.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. Dr. Ife, this has just been an amazing session. Amazing session. And there's another thing I saw that you wrote that I loved. You said, I can't remember in what context you used it, but you said blindness happens to other people. Blindness never happened to your families. I think you're talking about Nigerian families and talking about blindness.
Oh, well, you see, you need to understand. I think everybody. Okay, so everything that happens to we want to live a perfect life.
Oh yes.
We want everything to be rosy. So we hear about these things in other people.
Yeah.
So we don't think it's going to happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, seriously, you know, I think of my dad, my mom. They got married. They achieved these high positions in their various, you know, in their various professions and stuff.
Yeah.
So they, they wouldn't have expected to have a blind child.
Yeah. Especially because your the first child wasn't blind.
She wasn't. Yeah, she wasn't. Yes. And so when I was born, they would have been like, "Oh, how do we cope with this?"
Mm.
I remember going to school and realizing, when I went to school, I realized that there were blind people from many, many, many parts of Nigeria.
Okay.
But you know, in my family,
Yeah.
and friends that I grew up with at home, I'm the only blind person among the people I grew up with in Ibadan.
Okay.
The blind people I only met in school. When we're talking about my families, friends from home, none of them are blind. So you don't expect that kind of thing. Whenever something happens, no one's expecting it. I mean, we don't wake up in the morning going, "Lord, I want to have a blind child." We don't do that.
No.
It's something that happens to other people. Yet, if I said to you, "Oh, this person had a blind child," you go, "Oh, how sad." But you wouldn't for 1 minute think
It could happen.
exactly.
Yeah. But the reality is that it could happen to anyone.
It could happen, and it does happen. And so, yeah, I think when I was talking about it, I was trying to explain that blindness at this point isn't actually a respecter of persons.
Mm.
It's not. It's not a respecter of status, of class.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
And it's not like Jesus said because the parents did anything wrong.
Exactly. Exactly. My parents didn't do anything wrong. Can you imagine? And I was telling someone this. Can you imagine what would have happened if someone had said to my parents before they got married, "Oh, you're gonna have a blind child"?
They rebuked the person.
Instantly. Instantly.
God forbid.
See, when I was working with students, right? I called somebody. Somebody called me and said, "Oh, I'm coming to Lancaster." And so I said, "Okay, I'll meet you at the station."
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I'll be wearing a let me use orange because that's your favorite color. Say, oh, I'll be wearing an orange dress. I said, oh, don't worry about it. I will not know what dress you're wearing because I can't see. She said, God forbid. I said, it's true.
Oh, oh my goodness. Talking about that, I have to tell them again. You know, I said Dr. Ifeolu, he has such a gracious spirit. So we're talking about Queen, this lady now, and he was trying to, he was telling me that, oh, you must know her, she goes to your church, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, without even thinking, I said to him, describe her. And
I should have, but why didn't I say?
and he said to me, I can't see. And you know, those that are watching, this is what I did when he said that. I went like that.
Yeah.
Now, and then as soon as that, he said to me,
you covered your eyes.
yes. And
Of course.
as soon as he said that, he said, most people, that's what they do. They cover their eyes. And I was like, oh my God.
And guess what I do? I make fun of them even more.
Oh, wow. No, he has such a sense of humor. My goodness, a good sense of humor, a good sense of even. I think it was today. I said to him, "Oh, I was thinking, when you come on Instagram Live, how are you going to be able to tell, position yourself or something like that?" He was like, "Well, you tell me." You know, he's just so easy.
Oh, am I well positioned, by the way?
Sorry, say that again.
Am I well positioned, by the
Yes,
way?
you are. You are. I would have told you.
I'd like to thank my producers and all those people.
No, you're such an amazing person. Ifeolu, seriously, you are really. But I
But
want
so
you
are
to
you, you know.
say that again.
So are you.
Oh, thank you.
No, seriously. How many people do what you do?
Oh,
How many people
yeah.
come every Saturday and interview amazing people and draw out the amazingness from them?
Oh, thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. You see, that's why I said, look at him. He's just so gracious with his words.
Yeah. Add a stick to your name.
Wow. Okay, before he's also graciously agreed to play the piano at the end, but before he goes, I want you to leave us with a last word with regards to this question. Am I disabled? Leave us with a last word for the folks watching and anyone that's going to watch later on.
Or should I just repeat what I said?
Okay, you can repeat what you said.
The measure of disability really isn't whether you're blind or deaf or in a wheelchair. It's whether God's works are made manifest in your life. So I may be more or less disabled than you if God's works are not made manifest in my life. I may actually be less disabled, or I may be more because I'm not displaying God's works. That's how we measure it now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really do appreciate your coming on today. And please, you've got to come back.
Oh, I will, definitely.
You're
You
such an inspiration. It made me laugh so much. But also, you dropped so many deep, deep nuggets. Very, very good.
very much.
Awesome. Awesome.
You had a wonderful time. Absolutely wonderful time.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so play the piano for us, please.
So there are only 4 lines to this song, right? It's by Mark Reynolds. And the thing about it is, it's such a beautiful, such an easy song, except to remember which lines go where. So I warn everyone in advance that I'm going to get it. I may get it wrong. But if anyone's going through any difficulty at this time, just remember this, my prayer for you. Yes, have I got it right?
Yes.
May your struggles. Oh, sorry. Let's do that again.
May your struggles keep you near the cross. Yeah.
May your struggles keep you near the cross. May your troubles show that you need God. May your battles end the way they should. May your bad days show that God is good. May your whole life prove that God is good. May your struggles bring you near the cross. May your troubles show that you need God. And may your battles end the way they should. May your bad days show that God is good. And may your whole life prove that God is good.
Whoa! Wow, 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 wow. Oh my goodness, that was awesome. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Oh my goodness.
So sorry I got the words wrong, but
No, I have the lyrics in front of me.
oh wow, there you go.
It was good. It was really good. Oh wow. I can be a bit greedy at times. Can you play just one more another song? You can choose anything. Any song that you
Okay, so there is an interesting song here.
yes.
Hold on. At the center of it all,
Ooh.
you that I see, it's you that I see. At the center of it all, you that I see, you that I see. There is power in your name. Miracles happen in your name. At the center